familiar with some of the concepts which you might have studied in ninth standard. You would be studying about them. And then there is a very interesting topic which is called as kinetic theory of matter. Okay, so that is the essence of this entire topic. And why do we study this chapter? So the name of the chapter suggests that particulate nature of matter. So going by the word itself, what do you understand by matter?
Something that occupies space and has
Okay,
mass.
and also has volume, right?
Yes.
So since in your previous classes, that is in standard ninth, you must have been
So
familiar with.
I just passed 8th. My ninth grade has not yet started.
Okay, oh sorry, you are in ninth standard. Oh sorry, I thought you
Yeah.
are in. Sorry, I thought you were in tenth. I'm sorry. Uh, okay, so fine. So what we can do is, so since you already know that particulate nature of matter, matter is, as you already mentioned, that matter is something which occupies space, has mass, and has volume, has certain volume to it. So uh, over thorough study, it has been found that basically there are three fundamental states of matter, right? Can you name the three fundamental states of matter?
Solid, liquid, and gas.
Very good. These are solid, liquid, and gas. Now the next question comes, because we are science students and we are gradually we would be learning into applied sciences and advanced sciences. So now the next question is there, that why matter are found. Actually, there are other states of matter also. There is another state of matter which is called as plasma. But since as for a textbook level, we would be focused only with solid, liquid, and gas. So the next question which comes into the mind is that why there are these three states of matter. What makes these three states of matter physically present in their state, what it is that these three states of matter are consist of, and why exactly do matter are found in these three states of solid, liquid, and gas. Why? So this why has been over thorough research and analysis. This why is what we will be studying about in these subsequent lectures. You understood my point for the discussion, right? That you said, sir, there are three state of matters. Fine. You said solid, liquid, gas. Now my next question is, why solid, why liquid, why gas, and can I change a solid? Can I change a matter which is in solid state into liquid state? Can I change a matter which is in liquid state into gaseous state? And is there a vice versa process which is possible? So,
Yes.
if yes, then how? What is the backend process which is going on? So, these all things we would be studying about them in this chapter. Okay. So
Yes.
let us quickly start with the session. That matter, anything which has space, volume, and occupies some space and volume is called as matter. So see, matter is basically made up of very small particles. These small particles, they are called as atoms. Okay, so atom is something like, it is like the basic fundamental unit of any element. See, it is something like that. The atom, after which atom के एक level ऊपर you have molecules, उसके बाद you have atoms, elements, molecules, compounds. So this is the hierarchy by which you travel all the way up. So atom is something like, it is when you suppose when you start breaking off something, like say for example a
The
piece, if you have an
tiniest
the
particle.
tiny is the fundamental building block, the
This
fundamental
is
building block of matter, that is atom, right? And one important thing is that if you want to break down a substance, there are certain ways by which you can break down a substance. Breaking down of substance means you are disintegrating it. Breaking down from here onwards, breaking and making of substances means that you are, whenever we will be using that word breaking and making, we are always considering the fact of formation of bonds and breaking of bonds. Okay, henceforth in chemistry, whenever we say something new has been formed or something old has been decomposed, so we would be stating the term, that we would be keeping it at the back of our mind, then it is always about breaking of bonds or making of bonds. Whenever there are older bonds which are broken and a new bonds are being formed, a new substance is always formed. So from henceforth, it is always about bonds. Now again, we have bonds of attractions, which that we would be talking about subsequently in this chapter. So, okay, fine. So you are familiar with the term atoms, right? And once you start bringing a substance into smaller pieces, then there will be a point that you cannot break a particular substance into much more smaller part by any physical or chemical methods. Like suppose if I say that you have a glass. So what is a way by which you can break the glass? You'll just put a hammer and you'll break it. That is a physical method by which you have broken a glass, right? Now suppose you have say for example uh, hydrogen and oxygen from water molecule. Water molecule is H2O, right? So if you want to break water into respective component, or you want to decompose water into respective component, what you have to do, you have to do the electrolysis. Electrolysis is a process. I'm not talking much deep into it. I'm just trying to make you understand the bigger picture. So what you have done, there is a chemical process. There is a chemical way by which you can break down the substance, right? And there is a physical process by which you can again break down a certain substance. For example, here we have spoken about glass. You have broken down the piece of glass by a hammer. That is a physical method. You have broken down hydrogen and oxygen atoms from H2O molecules. That is a chemical method by which you have broken it down. So atom is something like you have come to that state that even by physical and chemical methods of separation, or even by physical and chemical processes of dissociation, is no more applicable. That is, you cannot break it down into any further smallest particle. That is called as atom. So this is one very important and interesting point about atom, right? Hello.
Yes.
Fine. So now the next thing is molecules. Now what are molecules?
Molecules is a bond of atoms.
Okay, so fine, but let us redefine it. See, it can be a bond of atoms which are of similar type, or it can be a bond of atoms which are of different types. Two similar kind of atoms, they have combined together to form a molecule, or two or more different kinds of atoms of different elements have combined to form a molecule. Like for example,
Water, H2O.
water, H2O, right? There is an hydrogen, two molecules of hydrogen combining with one molecule of oxygen, it is giving you water. And then similarly, there is a diatomic molecule of oxygen, O2, wherein two molecules of oxygen, they combine to form a diatomic state of oxygen, right? So that is again two similar kind of atoms have combined together to form an oxygen molecule. So, okay, now the third thing which we would be talking about is ions. Now, what are ions? Any idea what are ions?
Um, After a loss of electrons in an atom,
Mhm.
the 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 atom the electrons that remain in the atom are less than the protons in the atom, so that is
Right.
called an ion. So that
Okay.
the atoms,
You have.
the elements
Mhm.
ion. So say
Right. Right. Right.
iron.
Fine.
Is, this is, yeah,
Fine.
basically.
Fine. Let us more redefine the concept. See, it is not only about losing of electrons. It can be a process wherein your a system is gaining electrons. So see, electron is something. See, whenever we talk about chemistry and whenever we talk about bonds is always about exchange of electrons between two entities. The entities can be atoms or molecules. In order to form a bond, it is always the exchange. It is either the mutual exchange of electrons or it is complete transfer of electrons. So what happens is electrons, they have a net negative charge on themselves, whereas protons, which is residing in the center of the nucleus, has a net positive charge on itself. So what happens is whenever remember, whenever you are losing an electron, whenever electron is negative, whenever you are losing an electron, that is, you are giving away negative things from your life. And whenever you give away negative things from your life, what happens? You become happy, you become positive. Okay. And whenever you accept negative things in your life, whenever you take in negative things in your life, then what happens? You become more negative. So accepting of electrons, okay, accepting of electrons, that means accepting of more negative charge, is something wherein an atom or an entity develops a negative charge on itself. Whereas if there is a removal of electrons, then what is happening? The entity is losing electrons, and by losing electrons, it is acquiring a positive charge on itself. So remember, Loss of electrons, the entity will acquire a positive charge. Gain of electron, the entity will acquire a negative charge. Okay, so there is a very interesting formula also for this. So just give me a second, I'll show it on the whiteboard. In order to find the number of electrons in any charged species. So basically, yes. So these are what your ions are. And again, ions are classified into cations and anions. So what are cations and what are anions? Can you tell me?
I'm not sure.
Okay, cations are those charged entities or species. By charged entities or species, I mean that they can either be atoms or molecules. Okay, they can either be atoms or they can either be molecules. So, cations are those which have a positive charge on themselves. Those species which have a positive charge on themselves. And what do you mean by positive charge? That entity or that species has lost its electrons. Okay, whenever there is a positive charge on any atom or any polyatomic group or any molecule, that means it has lost its electrons. Okay, and whenever there is an acceptance of electrons, then the entity or the polyatomic group or a molecule will always acquire a negative charge. So that negative charge particles that negative charge species or entities or molecules are called as anions, and the positive charge entities, species or molecules, they are called as cations. Okay, so this is okay, so I'm sharing the whiteboard with you. I'm just a second. So can you see the whiteboard, Vishruti? Is the whiteboard visible?
Oh yeah, now I can see.
Okay, fine. So I'll just give you a quick understanding about how it is happening. Huh? Just write down this formula. It might help you in subsequent lectures also. See what is happening now. Now I would be talking about the number of electrons. I would be talking about the number of how you will calculate the number of electrons. How to calculate the number of electrons for any charged species or any species in short. How to calculate the number of electrons. Fine. So you must be familiar with the concept that for a neutral atom, remember, a neutral atom means which is having no charge on itself. Okay, for a neutral atom, so that Z is equal to P is equal to E. Now, what is Z? What is P? What is E? Vishruti, you are there?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now Z means what? P means what? And E means what? For a neutral atom.
Z is the neutron. P is the proton, and E is no.
No. P is the proton. E is the electron. Z is the atomic number. N is the neutron. Small n represents the number of neutrons. Okay. So for a neutral atom, whenever the atom is neutral, that is, it has not acquired any charge on itself. That is, it has not transferred its electron to some system, neither it has accepted some electrons from any external system. So in that case, your this Z is equal to P is equal to E is that if you want to calculate the number of electrons, that is, if you want to find the number of electrons of any particular atom of an element, all you have to do is you just look at its atomic number. Like for example, oxygen. What is the atomic number of oxygen?
8.
8, right. So since 8 is the atomic number of oxygen, so what would be the number of electrons into it? It would be again 8 is the number of protons and 8 is the number of electrons. Okay, fine.
Yes.
Any confusion till this point?
No.
Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, so you can write it down. Z is equal to atomic number. Okay, Z means atomic number. P is equal to the number of protons, E is equal to the number of electrons, and N is equal to the number of neutrons. And the nucleus, you must have studied in previous lectures also, that the nucleus, right? The nucleus, which is also called as the nucleons, the nucleus of an atom has the positive charged particles, which are the protons, the neutrons, which have no charge on itself. Remember, neutron has no charge on itself, protons has a positive charge, neutron has no charge, and electrons have a negative charge on itself. Okay.
Yes.
So this is the nucleus, and these are the orbits wherein you find electrons which are revolving around the nucleus, just like the solar system. The planets revolve around the sun. Similarly, this is the nucleus, and these are the orbits where the electrons, they keep on revolving. So this circular path, actually it's not in fact circular, we just indicate it in a circular fashion. So this is the orbit, or the shell or the orbit, they are the same thing. This means the shell, this or the orbit, they are one of the same thing. You can write them as shell, 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 or you can also write them as orbit. Okay, you can write them both as shell or orbit, they are one of the same thing. Okay, and these are the electrons wherein, electrons, they keep on revolving around the nucleus in a fixed defined shell or orbit, and the nucleus has the protons and the neutrons, and in total they are called as nucleons. Now tell me one thing, there is a very interesting thing which you would be noticing from here onwards. Now tell me, what is the net charge on the nucleus? Can you tell me what is the net charge available on the nucleus? I mean, what is the nature of the charge?
It is positive.
Very good, very good. It is positive in nature. The net charge on the nucleus, it is positive in nature. Okay, and since it is positive, and this net charge on the nucleus is basically due to the availability of the protons. Okay, the protons are responsible for having this net positive charge on the nucleus, and this is called as a nuclear charge. Okay, so if you want, you can write the same. This is just an introduction. Your camera is not on, Vishruti. Yeah, because the session is there in the recording mode, so I would request, to keep the camera on. So fine, you understood what is nuclear charge? The nuclear charge is, and how is the nuclear charge there found? Nuclear charge is acquired because the nuclear charge is acquired in a system because
Because there are protons present in the nucleus.
nucleus, right? Because and the protons have the positive charge. Okay, the protons have the positive charge. Fine, and then yeah. Now let us move back to now. If for a neutral atom and for a charged species, now for a charged species, now for the charged species, for a charged species, how you will calculate the number of electrons? The number of electrons is equal to the atomic number minus the charge on the species. The charge on the species. Okay, the charge can be positive or the charge can be negative. So remember, you always have to put a minus sign here and then followed by a bracket. It's clear? Any confusion here?
Yes.
Okay,
No.
now I'm just giving you a random example. This is just a random example. Now can you tell me how many number of electrons are there on oxygen with +2 charge and oxygen with -2 charge? Can you tell me the number of electrons by this formula? I cannot hear you.
Yes, sir. 1 minute.
All you have to do is just put the atomic number. What is the atomic number of oxygen? It's 8, right?
8. Yes. So it'll be 8 minus bracket plus 2.
Okay, so
The
that is
first
how
one.
much?
So that will be 6.
6 number of electrons for the first case, wonderful. And for the second case?
That'll also be 6.
No.
No, wait. No, it'll be 10. Minus
Exactly.
10. Yeah.
So now did you understood the philosophy? Why I kept on saying that whenever there is a loss of electron, then system will have, no, see, in this case, you said that it is 6, right? Ideally, how many electrons should have been there for oxygen? It should have been 8
8.
electrons. How many electrons is oxygen missing? How many electrons are missing in
2.
oxygen? So that too, this plus charge indicates that it has lost those many number of electrons. Okay, and so when you are losing something, you are becoming happy. When you are losing negative people from your life, you become happy. You acquire a positive charge. Similarly, when you acquire negative things into your life, you become more negative. So in this case, how many number of electrons are there? There are 10 electrons, right? Ideally, how many electrons should have been there? There have been 8 electrons, but now
It
you
gained
have 10
2.
electrons.
It gained
Excess
2.
of 2 electrons. You have gained 2 electrons, and that is the reason you have acquired a negative charge. So that is clear to you, right? What does a negative charge? These negative charges are called as anion. If you want, you can write them down. These are called as anions, and these are called as cations. And these charges, no, these charges can be found not only in case of atoms, but also in case of molecules. Like we have polyatomic groups. We would be talking about them in subsequent lectures. So they are polyatomic groups also. So these are cations and anions, and together they are called as ions. Okay, now you understood what are cations and what are anions, and total what they are called as, the charged entities they are called as. And the entities, no, the entities can be your atoms and molecules. Okay, the species or the entities which we are referring here can be atoms. An atom can also lose electrons, and a molecule can also lose electrons. An atom can also accept electrons, whereas a molecule can also accept electrons. So ions, they are basically atoms or molecules that either carry positive or negative charge on themselves. And positive charge ions are called as cations, and negatively charged ions are called as anions. Okay, so now we would be talking about state of matters. So first thing first, there are fundamentally there are 3 states of matter. As you have already mentioned, there are 3 states of matter, right? So can you name the 3 states
Yes.
of matter?
Solid, liquid, and gas.
Very good. That is the best answer. Solid, liquid, and gas. So, a solid, liquid, and gas. So, we would be talking about now, we would be talking about them in the context of their physical and chemical properties. I mean, the physical and the way how you will distinguish 3 states of matter based on the physical and chemical properties. Okay. So, what are the distinguishing properties of solid, liquid, and gas? What are the distinguishing properties of solid, liquid, and gas?
In
In,
so
in,
if
in
in context to particle theory.
No, not in context to particle theory. In context to the physical properties. In
Appearance.
context of
Okay.
the physical.
Oh, okay. Um, for
Hmm.
solids occupy have volume, they have
Right,
mass,
right.
and they do not flow.
Okay, they do not flow. Exceptions are there. Always exceptions are there. Fine.
In liquids, they have volume,
Hmm.
they do not have mass, and
Hmm.
they are a fluid.
Okay, though they flow easily. So what we, in nutshell, what we
It
can say is
flows.
it flows. So what we can say is that solids, they have a fixed shape, right? They have a fixed shape.
Yes.
Uh, Whereas liquids, they have no such fixed shape. They
They have
occupy the
no
space of the
definite.
container.
Yes.
They occupy the shape of the container in which they are kept in, right? Fine.
Yes.
And what about gases?
Gases have volume, and they flow. They do not have any fixed shape. Um, yes, that's it.
Also, okay, fine. But remember one thing very important. that when you are using the term volume and shape, okay, so you have to be specific that either it is fixed or it is variable. Okay, either it's fixed or it is variable. So in case of solid and in case of liquid, the volumes are fixed. They both have fixed volumes, and whereas in case of gas, they have no fixed volume. They have no fixed volume and they have no fixed shape. Whereas solid, most of the solid have fixed shape. They are mostly crystalline or crystal looking in nature, or have some kind of geometrical shape. Okay. Whereas liquid, the shape is not fixed. They occupy the space of the container in which they are kept as. And again, for gases, there is no shape that my gas is cylindrical or my gas is this, my gas is that. It's not like that. Okay. So these are the physical properties. Okay. Now, fine. Now, what was the next thing which you said? In respect to, you said that with respect to kinetic theory. Particle theory. Now, can you tell me what exactly it is? What exactly do you understand by the term?
Particle theory is basically it is in context to the molecules, their force of attraction,
Exactly.
how they are held together, their movement,
Exactly.
how much they are capable of moving,
Right.
and intermolecular forces.
Exactly. So more or less, it is basically about say movement means kinetics. Kinetic means movement. So whenever something is in state of motion, it is having some kind of kinetic energy into it. So yes, point number one, we would be talking about how much amount of kinetic energy is there available into these three states of matter. That is point number one, kinetic energy of the particles like the atoms, the molecules, and the ions. And again, when since the degree of motion, then the second, you said that how much they move, that is the degree of motion, how much freedom or how much degree of motion or how much freedom the particles, they can be atoms, molecules, or ions, they have to move inside. Okay. And then the third most important thing is the intermolecular forces of attraction. Okay, the intermolecular forces of attraction. Now, intermolecular forces of attraction, now what are they? See, the intermolecular forces of attraction are basically those forces of attraction. What they do is they tend to bind the particles together. They are those forces of attraction which tend to bind the particles together. And by binding the particles together, what happens is that the particles are trying to, you know, stay more close together. If the forces of attraction is more, the particles would be experiencing more forces of attraction and they would be more closer together. Okay. And if the forces of attractions are weak, then the particles will experience a weaker forces of attraction and they would probably try to move away from one another. Okay. So very interesting thing which is there is that the kinetic theory of matter, not only it explains about the forces of attraction, the intermolecular forces of attraction and the degree of motion, but it also states that all these substances, that is the solid, liquid, and gas, the fundamental constituent particles like the atoms or the molecules or the ions, they're always in a state of vibration. They're always in a state of motion. Okay. And this state of motion is nothing but it is the state of motion is basically because of the kinetic energy which the particle is having. So because of the kinetic energy the particle is possessing, the particles or the molecules are there, they're always in a state of motion. They're always in a state of motion, or they're always vibrating at their respective positions. Okay. So these are the three main points of the kinetic theory of matter, and this is how this thing came up. And from here onwards we would be talking about that how kinetic theory of matter is responsible for acquiring certain shape and structure to the three different states of matter, and what are the processes in the backend which is happening when you're converting something from one state of matter to another state of matter. So remember one thing, one very interesting thing is that when Okay, so suppose you have two particles. Okay, you have two particles. Okay, let me just clear these. Can I clear this thing?
Yes.
Okay, suppose you have a you have a chamber. Okay, you have a chamber, and you have two chambers, right? Suppose you have two chambers, and I said particles. Now suppose, just say for example, just here, these are your two particles. Okay, and then you have two particles here. So remember, these two particles, they are held closer together, and when they would be, and suppose, suppose it's just one single layer. Now what is happening when this particle is colliding with this particle and this particle, because they are vibrating. Okay, they are vibrating, they are shaking at their positions. When they are shaking, then what they are doing is they are colliding with one another. So because they are shaking, they are colliding with one another. So this is, sorry. Sorry. So what they're doing is, just because they're in a state of constant motion or in a state of constant vibration, they're constantly colliding with one another, and also they have the tendency to collide with the walls of the container in which they are kept. Okay, you can just imagine, like, have you played the game of carom?
Yes.
What happens to those the dices? What once you push, what happens? They scatter, right? They scatter and they
Yes.
start colliding with the walls. So this is what is happening. This is what collision theory is. Collision theory is nothing but they are in the state of motion. They are at the respective places. They are in the state of motion, and when they start hitting one another, they kind of again start colliding. They kind of displace one another, and then they start colliding with the walls of the container. So it's like a bouncing ball kind of thing, the bouncing ball kind of thing. So they're colliding with one another, and also they're colliding with the walls of the container in which they're kept in. Okay, so now we would be talking about what I keep on saying, that the forces of attraction and the forces of attraction. What exactly are those intermolecular forces of attraction? See, they are basically it's a higher level concept, but you should be familiar with the forces of attraction. There are basically two major categories. One are the van der Waals forces of attraction, the intermolecular, the intermolecular forces of attraction. What are these two? The intermolecular forces of attraction, they are van der Waals forces of attraction and induced dipole forces of attraction. So let me write them down. You can write it down if you want. What are the types of attractive forces, or what are the types of intermolecular forces of attraction? Types of intermolecular forces attraction. They are dipole. See, they are the different kind of substances. Different kind of substances. They have different kinds of forces of attraction which held the particles together. Okay, there are different kind of forces of attraction which are found in the substances which are responsible for the atoms or the molecules to stay together. Okay, so these are the types of these are the types of forces of attraction. Some can have this, some can have that. It's just like the variations of like we say sabji. Okay, sabji kaisa rehta hai? Sabji can be of anything. It can be aloo ki sabji, it can be tomato ki sabji, it can be a mixture of aloo and tomato ki sabji. So similarly, forces of attraction, so a substance which is composed of which is there in a particular state, can be, it can exist in that state due to different forces of attraction. Different forces of attraction are responsible for a particular substance to have its state in its solid state, or in its liquid state, or in gaseous state. So these are the forces of attraction. These are the ingredients which are responsible for any particular state of a matter to exist. Okay, so these are the forces of attraction. These are your ingredients for the sabji. Okay, it is dipole dipole, forces of attraction. That is number 1. Then number 2, it is London dispersion force of attraction. London dispersion force of attraction. Okay. Now number 3 we have one minute. Third is hydrogen bond. Hydrogen bond is H bonds or hydrogen bonds. They are also forces of attraction. Bonds. They are also forces of attraction which are found in substances. And the last is induced dipole force of attraction. Induced. Just remember the names. You would be studying in detail in higher classes of standard 11th. Induced dipole force of attractions. Okay. Now 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. They are called as van der Waals force of attraction. What are they called as? VAN. Van der Waals forces of attraction. Van der Waals forces of attraction. Okay. Clear till here? Okay, fine. So now, and one more short point to remember is that whenever like you must have studied about diffusion and osmosis, right? So no, it's there in this chapter also. In previous lecture also, in bio, it's a topic of bio that osmosis.
Yeah.
Osmosis is specifically for water. It is specifically for water movement of water molecules, right? So similarly, the forces of attraction, all the forces of attraction, all the intermolecular forces of attraction which are responsible for the liquid to keep it intact, all the forces of attraction, all the intermolecular forces of attraction which hold a liquid together, they are basically called as cohesive forces. Okay, what are they called as? Cohesive forces. So if you want, I can write it down. All the intermolecular forces which a liquid together are called cohesive forces. Okay, remember the term. Clear till here? Any confusion? So the forces of attraction, so there are basically van der Waals force of attraction and the induced dipole force of attraction. So van der Waals again is dipole, London dispersion and hydrogen bonds. Okay. So this is what we call about the intermolecular force of attraction. Number 1. This is clear, right? Any confusion till here?
Yeah.
Okay. And since I already told that these particles are always in a state of constant motion, they're always, while they are moving, they are always in a state of motion. While they are moving, what is happening is they are colliding with one another, and they're also colliding with to the walls of the container in which they are kept. Okay. So just like
Yes.
carom, what is happening? The carom, they keep colliding with one another also, right? वो जो आपकी जो डाइसेस होती हैं वो आपस में तो कोलाइड करती है, लेकिन जैसे ही मतलब जब एक स्ट्राइक लगता है, जो स्ट्राइक लगता है तो वो आपस में तो कोलाइड करती है, साथ में वो जो वॉल है, जो बाउंड्री वॉल है कैरम बोर्ड की, उससे भी आपस में कोलाइड करना चालू कर जाती हैं. So this is what your kinetic theory of matter is. In short, in nutshell, if you want to visualize it, this is what your kinetic theory of matter is. So they are not only colliding with one another, but also they are colliding with the walls of the container in which they are kept at. Okay. So and then this is and because they are in a state of motion, so we can say that they are having some kind of kinetic energy into them. Okay, they have some kind of kinetic energies which are present into them. So now remember, it's a very important point to remember, in fact, that the fact, see, it is basically the two factors which determine whether a substance will be solid, liquid, or gas is that how much amount of kinetic energy the constituent particles of which the substance is made up of it is having. Okay, that is how much amount of kinetic energy, how much amount of kinetic energy a particular atom or ion or molecule which makes the substance is having, that will define whether the substance will be solid, liquid, or gas. And the second most important point which will define whether the substance will be solid, liquid, or gas is the forces of attraction. Okay, so if you want, you can write it down. So you have written this point, right?
Yes.
Can I clear it?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So the two factors which determine whether a substance can be a solid or a liquid or a gas is, number one, it is the kinetic energy, of the particles. How much kinetic energy the particles are having. Particles can be it can be atoms, it can be ions, or it can be molecules. Okay, they can be atoms or ions or molecules. I'm sorry if my spelling goes wrong somewhere, so need not panic. Fine. Now the second important property, second important factor which determines the state of a matter, that is solid, liquid, or gas, whether the matter would be in a state of solid or in state of liquid or in state of gas, is the intermolecular of attraction. Right, and you already are familiar with the intermolecular forces of attraction, the van der Waals forces of attraction and the induced dipole force of attraction. So these are the two factors which are responsible to determine whether what would be the state of the matter would be, whether the matter would be in the state of solid, whether the matter would be in the state of liquid, or whether the matter will be in the state of gas. Okay. Okay, fine. So now one very interesting thing which you have to remember is, can I clear this?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if the average, AVG for average, KE for kinetic energy, okay, K dot E is for kinetic energy. If the average kinetic energy of the particles, okay, if the average kinetic energy of the particles is greater than the intermolecular force of attraction, intermolecular force of attraction, then what will happen? What will happen? Tell me. What will happen? If the kinetic energy is more, if the particles are having more kinetic energy, they are having more kinetic energy. It is just like that. Uh, the naughty people of the class. What happens with the naughty people of the class?
There is.
You find it very difficult to control them, right? Because they have
Yes.
more energy, they are more mischievous. They like they would be sitting in the first bench, then they might sit in the last bench, then they might throw bits of paper here, then bits of paper there, and then they start singing and banging the desk. So what is happening? They're having more kinetic energy, right? They have extra energy with them.
Yeah.
So once they and suppose a teacher comes into the class, okay, the teacher comes into the class, and then these people who have extra kinetic energy, they are banging the desk, and then they are banging the boxes, and then they are singing songs because they have extra kinetic energy. And then what the teacher will do?
Shout at them.
Okay, just shout at them.
Will become more strict, so they'll try to calm them down. You can say, try to bring them to the principal.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Okay. No, in our case, so we used to, get thrashed by the teacher, and then we were thrown out of the class. So, anyways, so see what happens is that once the average kinetic energy of the particle it is greater than the intermolecular forces of attraction, then what will happen? Then these molecules they will move apart more. Okay, they will move apart more, and while they are moving apart more, see what is holding them together. Can you imagine what is
The
it is
intermolecular force.
bonds. So now if the energy is greater than that of the bonds, okay, the bond, like the bond of the class, that friendship, if they are if the student, for example, the students in the class, so it is a bond of the friendship which the student share, right? It is the bond of the friendship which every student share with one another. Now what happens if somebody has more amount of energy? If somebody has more amount of energy, then what will happen? Than the respective bond energy, then they will start moving here and there, right? They might sit in the first bench, then they might sit in the second bench, then they might sit in the last bench. So they're moving apart, and when they are moving apart, what is happening? They are colliding with one another. Okay, can you imagine? Like somebody who's sitting in the first bench, and he is having more extra energy. So what he will do? He will try to jump to another bench in some another row. So in jumping and in running, what will happen? They will collide with one another, right? They will collide with other students, they will collide with the benches, they will collide with the desk. So this is what I want to make you explain, that if the average kinetic energy of the particle it is greater than the intermolecular forces of attraction, then these molecules, these particles, they will tend to move apart whenever they are colliding. Okay, whenever they are colliding, because I have already said that they are in a state of vibration, they are in a state of motion, they are in a state of vibration. So they are vibrating at their axes. That is, when they are vibrating on their axes, they're colliding with one another, and also they're colliding with the wall of the container. Agree? Is there any confusion till this point?
No.
Hello. Okay, so now what will happen? Suppose there are two particles, okay, and they have very high amount of energy. I mean, they have very high amount of energy, and the tendency for them to have friendship, or the tendency for them to make bonds, or the tendency of them to have these intermolecular forces of attraction. Bonds are basically what? Intermolecular forces of attraction. So what will happen? The two particles, when they will come, and then when they will collide, in that case they will be here at the main position, right? They would be here at the, can you see my hands?
Yes.
So suppose two people, they have very high amount of energy, and they have come together, and then they have collided. So once they have collided, see, two things will happen. Either during the collision they will do friendship, they will say, अच्छा चलो ठीक है, अभी अभी हमें और नहीं आपस में सर पटकना है, let us be friends and let us settle down somewhere. Number one. Number two, they will come, they will collide, and then they will bounce back. They will bounce back in one another direction. Okay. So why they are bouncing back? Why they are bouncing back in one another direction? This is what I tried to explain. That if the kinetic energy of the particles, it is more, it is so much that even the bond of friendship cannot hold them together, then what will happen? They will come, they will collide, and instead of making friendship, instead of forming bonds due to the molecular bonds of attraction, instead of forming bonds, what will happen? Because of the higher kinetic energy, they will collide and then they will scatter in random direction. Okay. And case 2, if the kinetic energy, if the kinetic energy is less, if the kinetic energy is less, then these two people will come and then they will collide and then they will form the bonds and they will settle down somewhere. They will not scatter here and there. Okay. Got the point?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the very important thing which you have to keep in mind, that if the average kinetic energy of the particle is greater than the intermolecular forces of attraction, okay, then the molecules will move apart. They will move apart after collision. Okay. Sorry. And if average kinetic energy, Ke for kinetic energy, and if the average kinetic energy, if the average kinetic energy is what? It is less than the intermolecular forces of attraction, then after collision what will happen? After collision the molecules will try to settle. After collision the molecules will not move apart and will try to settle. Okay, clear? Any confusion till here? Have you written these points, Rishi?
Yeah.
So did you understand? Like it is just like that, you know, like yeah, like two naughty boys of the class. They have extra energy, so they are running here, they are running there, they are running here, and even they come, they meet together. Still, they have so much of energy left that they will not settle and sit down at one place. Instead, they will again, even after meeting one another, what they will do? They will try to sit at random places in the class. Okay, the naughty people of the class, the one who have extra amount of energy with them, and that it is because they have greater kinetic energy with respect to the forces of attraction. If the forces of attraction, if they have very strong forces of attraction, what will happen? They will come, because of the high forces of attraction, they will hold their hands and they will not move here and there, because the forces of attraction are high with respect to the kinetic energy. And if the forces of attraction is less, so what will happen? They will come, they will shake hands, and then they will again go away. And if the forces of attraction is more, then they will come, they will shake hands, they will hold their hands together, and then they will settle down. Okay, so this is the two important aspects which you have to keep in mind. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so now see, now the difference in the physical properties we have covered. Now we would be talking about the difference in the structure. So as per the kinetic theory of matter, can you tell me what is the overall structure of solid, the overall structure of liquid, and the overall structure of gases? Can you tell me?
In related to kinetic energy, right?
Related to the differences in the structure with respect to the kinetic theory, right?
Yeah. Okay. So in solids, the kinetic energy is very less because of the intermolecular forces are high. They they
Uh,
uh, they only let the solid molecules to vibrate a little in their place,
right.
forming collisions here and there. But
Forming collisions.
gases
Mm. But
around
one more thing, because of this property, because of the high intermolecular forces of attraction, what impact does it have on its shape? They have a lattice-like arrangement.
they have a definite shape,
They
fixed
have a
shape.
definite fixed shape. That is, they have lattice, like they are arranged in the form of lattices. Now, what are lattices? Lattices are nothing but a fixed repeated patterns of arrangement of particles. They are
Okay.
lattices. Okay, so you can write it down solids that they are arranged in lattices. Okay,
Okay. What's the spelling of lattices?
Lattice. If
L
you want,
A
I can
T
write
T.
ICE. Can you turn on the camera?
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah.
So I'm
L
just
A
quickly.
T T. Okay, you're writing it.
I'm writing it down. You can just, and then after this we can solids. You have studied this chapter before.
Yeah, in 6th and 7th and in 8th. So,
Okay. They can be arranged in lattice. Then they are. I'm just repeating the points which you have spoken. Okay, they are able. They are able to stay in position. Why they are able to stay in position? Because
because of their intermolecular forces.
because of their higher intermolecular, not just intermolecular forces, but of
Higher,
higher intermolecular forces of attraction.
higher or stronger, right?
Higher or stronger anything because of higher. Because what happened? Because they have stronger, and what are those intermolecular forces? The van der Waals forces of attraction and the induced dipole forces of attraction.
Yes.
Right? And they vibrate in their fixed position. They fixed position. Okay, this you have already read, but I am just brushing up the thing, and then in the subsequent chapter we will be talking about the heat curves. Okay, and then there are certain phenomena like you must have studied, but we will be talking in respect to the kinetic theory of matter about the process of evaporation, the process of condensation, the process of boiling, the process of freezing, and process of sublimation in respect to the kinetic theory of matter. Okay, we will be talking about them in upcoming chapters. So let me just quickly write it down for you. Here in liquid, can you tell me what happens? They don't
In
have
liquid,
lattices.
yeah,
They don't have lattice.
they have a weaker force of attraction compared to
Ah,
solids,
compared to solids.
which cause the molecules to um, move and collide around
More frequently than that of solids.
solids, and
Okay. And they can move
move
about
around.
and slide past each another.
Yes.
Slide past one and another. See, there can be typing errors, so you probably write the correct spellings. Okay, there can be typing errors here and there. Wherein in gases, what is there? Particles.
In that, particles are free to move around. There is an extremely weak force of
Weak,
attraction,
exactly. Extremely
and
weak forces
they
of
yes, and they frequently collide with each other.
hmm, more collisions.
More collisions.
More
Yes.
collision in with one another and in the random direction with one
Yes.
another and with the container, the walls of the container. More collisions with one another and with the walls of the container they are kept in. Okay.
Yes.
I think you cannot see this. Last
Yeah.
point you cannot
So
see.
just like put it up.
Fine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So shall we go with the heating curve and other stuff, or I think the lecture is 1:15, right?
Yeah.
Fine. So now let us do one thing. There is one, if you've written this down, there is just one again small brief revision of the things which you must have studied in all the previous classes. It is the change in the states of matter. Okay, the changes in the state of matter. So if you have a solid, if you want to convert the solid into liquid, what
You
is the
apply heat.
process?
You
We
apply
will
heat.
increase it. We will heat it, and then it will, the solid will
Will melt.
melt. So that process is called as melting, right?
Yes.
And
And
then
then
liquid
from
again,
liquid to gas, you
you'll boil
again
it
apply heat. You boil it, and then there will be
into gaseous state,
and then there will be evaporation.
evaporation. And if you want gases to
Gas to
convert back
liquid,
into liquid, then what you will do?
condensation.
Condensation. And if you want liquid to get converted back into solid, what you will do?
Freeze it.
Freeze. That is the process of freezing, right? And if you want to directly convert solid into gas, skipping the liquid state,
Sublimation.
sublimation. Wonderful. So now this you are already familiar with. Now let us talk about these processes with respect to the KTM. KTM means the kinetic theory of matter. Okay. So just a second. Actually, I've got very bad cold.
Yeah. Take care.
Mm. So anyways, you know the kinetic theory of matter. Do you want to write down kinetic theory of matter?
Yeah, I'll write it down.
Okay, let me. Can I clear all this thing?
Yes.
Okay. So KTM, huh? What does KTM states? KTM, it's like kinetic theory of matter. So what it is? It states that all the matter consists of all the matter consists of many very small particles which are in the state of of constant motion. Okay.
Yes.
And the degree to which the particles can move, the degree, I mean till what extent they can move, or till what extent they can collide with one another. So this is the point, huh? See, if the spelling goes wrong somewhere, you can just correct it, okay? Because move is determined by the amount of kinetic energy the particles have with respect to other particles. Okay, how much till what extent they can move, it depends upon कि मेरे पास कितनी एनर्जी है और आपके पास कितनी एनर्जी है, ठीक है? और हम लोग कितना आपस में कोलाइड कर सकते हैं, और कोलिजन के बाद हम लोग क्या बॉन्ड फॉर्म करेंगे क्या, या फिर हम लोग फिर से आपस में कोलाइड करके स्कैटर कर जाएंगे. सो रिमेंबर दैट एवरेज काइनेटिक एनर्जी, अगर एवरेज काइनेटिक एनर्जी अगर आपकी बड़ी होगी विद द फोर्सेस ऑफ अट्रैक्शन के, तो क्या होगा, आपके पार्टिकल्स आएंगे आपस में कोलाइड करके फिर से स्कैटर कर जाएंगे, क्योंकि उनके पास अभी भी बहुत ज्यादा काइनेटिक एनर्जी है, उनको अभी सेटल होने का मन नहीं है, ठीक है? इट इज जस्ट लाइक प्लेइंग द गेम ऑफ क्रिकेट. तो दिन भर बॉयज, अभी तो नहीं, व्हेन वी वर स्मॉल, तो वो दिन भर समर वेकेशन में पूरा दिन हम लोग धूप में क्रिकेट और हाइड एंड सीक वगैरह खेलते रहते थे पूरा दिन. इट वाज फुल फन डे बिकॉज वी हैड मोर काइनेटिक एनर्जी विद अस, irrespective of our mothers calling us. So we never used to get inside the house, but once father used to come and he used to call us, then सारे के सारे बच्चे अपने अपने घरों में चले जाते थे, because the forces of attraction of father is more than that of mother. Okay, so this is what it means that कितना आप आपस में कोलिजन, अगर फर्दर कोलिजन पॉसिबल है क्या, आगे फिर से कोलाइड करोगे क्या, वो डिपेंड करेगा आपके पास कितनी एनर्जी है. अगर आपके पास एनर्जी ज्यादा है तब तो आप आओगे, कोलाइड करोगे और स्कैटर कर जाओगे. अगर आपके पास एनर्जी कम है तो आप आओगे, कोलाइड करोगे, बॉन्ड्स बनाओगे और सेटल कर जाओगे. So understood? I'm giving you the gist in Hindi.
Yes.
Okay. Now, till this point, now you must be clear that why do substances they change states? Now, what happens when a substance is changing state?
When a substance changes its state.
Solid है अभी. अच्छा, listen, this
Fine,
topic we can continue in the next session.
Yes. Yeah.
So हाँ, this because इसके बाद heating curve है और ये सारी चीजें हैं. So till now I suppose you are familiar कि आपके what are atoms, what are molecules, what are ions, and how to find the number of electrons in a charged species, what are cations, what are anions, and the kinetic theory of matter, and why exactly is the importance of kinetic theory of matter. What information does kinetic theory of matter implies? So can you just help me summarize the entire context of today? I mean, kinetic theory of matter. What it helps to indicate? What it helps you to understand?
It makes us understand that matter consists of particles which are continuously moving.
Okay.
And the rate at which these particles move can be determined by the amount of you have written it there.
Kinetic energy.
Kinetic energy the particles
amount
have.
of kinetic energy the particles have, and the second important point is
with respect to other particles.
No, I mean the see, मतलब fine, but it signifies ना कि मतलब आपका जो मैटर है वो मैटर किस स्टेट में है. It is in state of solid or it is in state of liquid or it is in state of gas. वो किस स्टेट में एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है और वो एक स्टेट से दूसरे स्टेट में कैसे चेंज कर सकते हैं उसको. ये काइनेटिक थ्योरी ऑफ मैटर का सबसे बड़ा एडवांटेज यही होता है. तो अगर कोई भी मैटर सॉलिड, लिक्विड या गैस के स्टेट में है तो कौन सा फैक्टर्स हैं जिनकी वजह से कोई भी सब्सटेंस सॉलिड, लिक्विड या गैस के स्टेट में होता है? नंबर 1, the amount of kinetic energy the particle is having, right?
Yeah.
और number 2, intermolecular forces of attraction उसके पास कैसे हैं? Strong intermolecular force of attraction, very strong force of intermolecular attraction, और weak intermolecular force of attraction. So these factors determine whether the substance would be in a state of solid, liquid or gas. That is the average kinetic energy and the intermolecular forces of attraction. And what will happen if the average kinetic energy is greater than the intermolecular forces of attraction?
If the so then the molecules will collide and then move apart after the collision.
Yes, and when the intermolecular force of attraction is greater than that of the average kinetic energy of the particles, in that case, what will happen?
Then they will collide. They'll make a bond and then they'll
Settle down. Right, wonderful. So this was the gist of the entire kinetic theory of matter, and then after which we will be talking about the heating curves and other constituent topics. Fine. So can you please turn on the camera before we wind up the session? Hope the lecture was fruitful. Did you understand something in today's lecture?
Yeah.
So are we meeting next?
Yes.
Or do you feel it difficult to understand?
No, it's easy.
It was easy.
Yes.
Fine. So we'll catch up in the next lesson.
Yes. Okay. Thank
Well,
you.
okay.
Bye.
Okay. Bye. Take care.